It happened on her birthday, right there in the middle of the party. I was standing next to the cake, holding a glass, saying a few words about how proud I was of everything she'd built, how far we'd come, and she just turned and slapped me. Hard. Loud enough that the whole room went quiet. I didn't say anything. I didn't look around. I didn't ask why. I just took a breath, straightened my jacket, and walked out the front door. No yelling, no big scene. I didn't even take my keys. Just walked. And that was it. I didn't go back. No calls. No messages. I left everything. The house, the business, her world. Let her keep it all. Or at least, that's what she thought. You ever have one of those moments that cuts your life in two? Before and after. That slap, in front of all her friends, her clients, her family, that was mine. But I guess if you want the full picture, you gotta rewind 5 years. Back when I was stupid in love and still thought loyalty meant something. Elaine was different. She walked into a room and people noticed. You know the type. The one that always seems to know what to say, how to dress, where to look so you feel like you're the only one in the room. She wasn't loud or flashy. She just had that way about her, like she belonged somewhere bigger. I met her at this local art show. She was curating a small section, handmade accessories, some edgy fashion pieces, and I was there to support a friend. We talked for maybe 10 minutes that night. She asked what I did. I told her I was working in logistics, warehouse management. She smiled like I just told her I built rockets. That smile, man. It felt like she saw something in me no one else did. We started seeing each other a few weeks later. Nothing fancy at first. Cheap wine, late-night walks, shared fries. She made it feel like that was enough. Said I grounded her, that I made her feel safe. Said I had this calm energy that helped her think straight. Looking back, maybe that should have been a red flag. But you don't think like that when you're in it. You don't analyze every compliment like it's a trap. You just enjoy it. She had this dream of opening her own boutique. High-end, but local, stylish, but affordable. A space where everything felt curated. I believed in her. I really did. She had the taste, the network, the ambition. All she needed was a little push and some capital. So when my grandfather passed and left me his house, nothing fancy, just a 2-bedroom fixer-upper in the old part of town, I sold it. Took every cent of that inheritance and added my savings. I told her, let's do it. Let's build something together. We signed the lease on a corner unit in a rising part of the city. She picked the name. Ellie. Clean. Simple. She said it was sleek. Said it sounded like something European, timeless. I didn't argue. I handled the setup, permits, contractors, shelving, security systems, back-end inventory software. She handled the look, the layout, the color palette, the pieces. I stayed in the background, made sure things worked. She stayed up front, made sure they looked good. At first, it worked. We had long days, late nights. Sometimes we'd crash on the store couch eating cold takeout, talking about where we'd open the second location, whether we should start an in-house line. We laughed a lot back then. We didn't get married with a prenup. Never crossed my mind. Why would it? We were building a life together. What was mine was hers, and what was hers was, well, hers too, I guess. But I didn't think like that. I was raised to trust. Over time, the boutique started taking off. Local influencers came by. We got featured in a lifestyle blog. Sales picked up. She hired staff, young girls with fashion degrees and sharp tongues. I started coming in less. Said I didn't want to get in the way. Truth was, I was starting to feel like I didn't belong. The space that used to be ours slowly turned into hers. The decisions, the events, the partnerships, she stopped asking for my opinion. And when I offered it, she smiled like I was being cute. Like I didn't get it anymore. It stung, but I swallowed it. Told myself it was just a phase. She was under pressure. Success changes dynamics, right? That's what I told myself. Then came her birthday. She wanted a big one that year. Rented out a private space at a rooftop venue downtown. It was all catered, with a guest list that sounded like a LinkedIn post. Designers, real estate agents, boutique owners, influencers, people I barely knew. People who barely knew me. I showed up in a navy blazer she picked for me last fall. Brought a bottle of champagne. Gave her a small gold bracelet I had engraved with the coordinates of the boutique's location. Thought it would mean something. Thought it might remind her where it all started. She smiled when she opened it, but it didn't reach her eyes. You know what I mean? Anyway, a few hours in, after the speeches and the laughs and the Instagram photos, someone tapped a glass to get attention. They wanted me to say a few words. I wasn't planning to, but sure. I figured a short thank you, a toast to her hard work, something simple. I stepped up next to her, looked out at all the people who now lived in her world. I said I was proud. I said Elaine had a fire in her, something rare, something powerful. I said she built this brand from nothing, and I was lucky to witness it. And then, she turned and slapped me. Just like that. Out of nowhere. No warning, no lead up. Just this sharp crack and a burning sting on my cheek. The room froze. You could hear someone's fork drop. No one said a word. I didn't ask why. I didn't try to explain myself or make a scene. I just stood still for a second, then nodded to no one in particular, turned around, and walked out. Didn't even make it to the elevator. Took the stairs. Funny thing is, I didn't even feel angry right away. I just felt empty, like something had been scooped out of me. You ever feel that? Like all the air left your body, but your chest still moves like you're breathing? I didn't go home. I didn't call a cab. I just walked. Ended up 2 neighborhoods over, sitting on the curb outside a gas station, wondering what the hell just happened. Eventually, I rented a car for the night. Slept in the back seat under my jacket. First time I'd done that since college. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared at the ceiling of that rental, watching the light shift every time a car passed. And that's when I realized the slap wasn't anger. It wasn't some emotional outburst. It was a message. The final move in a game I didn't even know we were playing. Next morning, I woke up with a stiff neck and the same shirt from the night before. The smell of rental car plastic and my own sweat in my nose. Checked my phone. Couple missed calls from a number I didn't recognize. No messages from her. Not that I expected one. I sat there for maybe 10 minutes, engine off, watching the sun rise between buildings, thinking about what the hell to do next. I didn't have a plan. No backup apartment, no stash of cash, no lawyer on speed dial. I had my wallet, my phone, and less than $1,000 in my account. But the weirdest thing? I felt calm. Like something had finally snapped into place. She'd made the final move. Now it was my turn. I stopped by a coffee shop. Got a black coffee, no food. Didn't feel hungry. Just sat there in the corner booth, scrolling through old emails, texts, photos. Reading them like someone else's life. Like a stranger's. That was the first time it really clicked. That slap wasn't random. It wasn't some heat of the moment thing. It was a performance. She wanted the crowd. She wanted the witnesses. That was the setup. A couple hours later, I checked into a motel just outside the city. Paid cash. Cheap place with buzzing fluorescent lights and stains on the ceiling. But it gave me space to think, to move. I opened my laptop and pulled up the files I created months ago. Yeah, I had a backup plan. I just never thought I'd need it. A year earlier, things had started to feel off. I couldn't explain it, just little things. A hesitation in her voice when I asked about the boutique's profits. A new account manager I never met. She started using business jargon like partner alignment and strategic separation, words that didn't belong in our little shop. So I did what anyone with half a brain would do. I started documenting. Quietly. I took screenshots. Made backups. Set up a shell company overseas, just in case. Used a fake name. Built it slowly. Paper trail, documents, digital accounts. All legal, just hidden. That morning after the party, I transferred the last bit of my remaining funds, what she hadn't already locked me out of, into that account. I renamed everything. Booked a train out of state using an alias. Deleted my socials. Killed my SIM card. Left the motel key on the desk and walked out with one duffel bag and a prepaid phone. You ever feel completely invisible? Like you could vanish and no one would even blink? It's not as scary as it sounds. In fact, it's kind of freeing. There's nothing left to lose, so every step forward feels like a win. First job I took was in a kitchen. A diner off the highway in some forgettable town. I washed dishes for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Paid under the table. Slept in a tiny room above the place with a mattress that smelled like mildew. The owner didn't ask questions. I didn't offer answers. I kept my head down. Saved every dollar. Ate plain rice and eggs most nights. Didn't go out. Didn't make friends. Just worked and studied. At night, I'd sit on the floor with my laptop and a stack of used law textbooks I bought online. Corporate structure. Liability shields. Tax loopholes. I wasn't trying to become a lawyer. I just wanted to understand how people like her play the game. I moved every few months. Different cities. Different names. Bus tickets paid in cash. Sometimes I worked at gas stations. Sometimes I mopped floors at office buildings after hours. Always quiet jobs. The kind where no one looks you in the eye. But I kept studying. I'd spend my lunch breaks reading financial news, court cases, startup reports. I taught myself how shell companies worked, how acquisition deals were structured, how equity could be hidden behind proxies. I started to see patterns, the same way you learn to read traffic as a driver. After a while, it stops being noise. You see the rhythm. 2 years in, I had enough saved to make a move. I found a small cybersecurity firm that was struggling. Good product, poor leadership. I used a pseudonym, made an offer through my offshore company, and bought in cheap. That was the turning point. I didn't run it myself. I brought in a manager I'd vetted online, someone with startup experience and no ego. I handled the strategy from behind the curtain. 3 months later, the firm turned a profit. 6 months after that, We had 2 new contracts and interest from investors. I sold it for 10 times what I paid. Then I did it again and again, always in the background, never using my real name. I'd structure the deals, clean the mess, flip the company, and move on. Sometimes I'd hold a piece of equity. Sometimes I'd sell everything. Depends on the market. You'd be surprised how easy it is to operate in plain sight when no one's looking for you. By year 4, I had enough capital to start investing in real estate. Nothing flashy, small commercial properties, a few strip malls in up-and-coming areas. Places with foot traffic. I used management companies, LLCs, full legal shields. Stayed away from personal exposure. I never lived fancy. Rented short-term apartments. Paid in advance. Drove used sedans. Wore clean clothes, nothing branded. No social media. No cards. Just quiet. And still, I'd catch myself looking over my shoulder sometimes. Not because I thought she was looking for me. She wasn't. I knew that. But because I hadn't forgotten. Not the slap. Not the way everyone froze and stared. Not the way she smiled after. Like it was done. Like I was erased. You ever feel like someone just deleted you? Not just from their life, but from the whole story? That's what she did. After that party, she told people I'd stolen from her. That I'd been hiding things. That I left her during a rough time and abandoned the business. Word got around. Mutual friends stopped calling. My name got buried under all her stories. Didn't matter. I wasn't interested in clearing it. I didn't want my old life back. I wanted to rebuild something she couldn't reach. And I did. It took 5 years. 5 hard, quiet, relentless years. Then, I got the invitation. It came through a business associate. A private event. High-level investors, tech founders, boutique real estate leaders. Hosted in my old city. Venue looked familiar. Fancy hotel rooftop. White marble bar. You know the type. I knew immediately. That was her world. Elaine thrived on that stuff. Glitz, exclusivity, the illusion of importance. It wasn't just a party to her. It was theater. It was branding. I RSVP'd under a new name. One she wouldn't recognize. Paid for a table sponsorship through a subsidiary. Bought a tailored suit. No flash, just clean lines and silence. I flew in 2 days early. Walked the city. Saw how much had changed. Some places were gone. Some looked smaller than I remembered. Funny how memory does that. I passed by the boutique once. Curtains drawn. Storefront dusty. Sign removed. Just an empty shell now. The morning of the event, I read the news, headline on a local business blog. Boutique owner under investigation for financial irregularities. Elaine's name in bold. Her face in the thumbnail. Charges pending. Assets frozen. Store closed. I didn't smile. I didn't pump my fist. I just closed the tab and drank my coffee. Later that night, I showed up to the event. Calm. Alone. On time. I scanned the room, didn't see her at first. Talked to a few people, listened more than I spoke. My name was on a sponsor placard. No one questioned it. Then I saw her. Across the room. Talking fast, smiling wide. Same gestures, same angle of the chin when she laughed. But her eyes kept scanning the room. Like she was looking for someone. She didn't recognize me. Not yet. The beard, the suit, the posture. I looked like someone else. I was someone else. But she'd recognize me soon enough. It happened right around dessert. People were mingling, laughing, waiting on espresso and pastries. I was seated near the middle of the room. Good view of the doors, far enough from the stage to avoid attention, but close enough to hear what mattered. She spotted me from across the table. I could tell the moment it hit her. That flicker in her eyes, like a glitch in the program. Her mouth kept moving, but her words stalled. She turned slightly, like she might brush it off, maybe pretend it wasn't me. But I didn't blink. I just kept looking at her. She tried to go back to her conversation. Fake a laugh. Flip her hair. But she was unraveling. She knew. And worse, she knew I knew. I didn't move. Didn't wave. Didn't smirk. Just sat there, sipping my drink, listening to some guy talk about market trends like he invented them. 10 minutes later, she was walking over. Alone. Her heels clicking sharp across the floor. Guests parted without knowing why. Like they could sense something. She stopped at the side of my table. I looked up and met her eyes. You ever watch someone try to piece a broken mirror back together mid-conversation? That's what she looked like. Her voice was low. It's you, isn't it? I nodded once. No smile. No greeting. She didn't sit. She just stood there, blinking like she hadn't planned past that line. I leaned back slightly, rested my arm on the chair. Hello, Elaine. Her name made her flinch. Just a little. She glanced around the room. Then down at the table. Then back at me. I didn't know you were. I didn't know you were here. Apparently, you didn't know a lot of things. She looked like she wanted to say something, argue, deny, deflect. But the words didn't come. Instead, she pulled out the chair and sat down across from me. I let her stew in it a bit. Let the silence stretch. I wanted her to feel it. The weight, the shift. You've changed, she said. So have you. She looked tired. Not the kind of tired you fix with sleep. The kind that comes from too many lies catching up to you at once. Her makeup couldn't hide the stress. I heard. I mean, I saw the article. It's all blown out of proportion. I didn't answer. She swallowed hard. You did this, didn't you? I set my drink down, reached into my inner jacket pocket, and placed a slim black folder on the table. She stared at it like it might bite. I didn't create the facts, Elaine. I just collected them. She didn't touch the folder. Just kept her eyes on me. What is this? Everything. Paper trails, signatures, authorization emails, invoice alterations. Took me a while to piece it together, but you made it easier by never covering your tracks. Her mouth parted slightly. She looked at the folder again, like it was something radioactive. I never meant to. Yes, you did. Her eyes snapped up. I kept my voice even. No anger. Just truth. You didn't slap me because I embarrassed you. You did it because you wanted a public break. You wanted to make me disappear. To rewrite the story with you as the victim. And you almost pulled it off. Her face changed. The mask started slipping. Her jaw tightened. And for a second, I saw the same expression from that birthday night. Cold. Certain. You walked away, she said. You gave me no choice. She shook her head slowly, like she couldn't believe this was happening. Like the world was spinning in the wrong direction. We could have fixed it. No. You broke it the moment you decided your image was worth more than our life. You sold me out for applause. She leaned back in her chair, arms crossed. Defensive. Small. And this? All of this. You waited 5 years to what? Ruin me. I looked at her and spoke slow. No. I waited 5 years to build something you couldn't touch. This is just gravity doing its job. You climb too high on someone else's back. Sooner or later, the ground catches up. She closed her eyes. For a moment, I thought she might cry. But no, she wasn't the crying type. Not unless there was a camera. The waiter came by, saw her face, and wisely moved on. She opened her eyes and looked down at the folder again. You never contacted me. Not once. There was nothing left to say. I would have listened. No, Elaine. You would have performed. You always perform. She looked wounded. Like she wanted me to take it back. But I didn't. I meant every word. I believed in you, I said. I believed in us. I gave you everything. And when you didn't need me anymore, you rewrote the story. You buried me. She didn't answer. Just sat there still. I pushed the folder toward her. It's all legal. Everything in there ties to you. Your name, your signature, your accounts. I didn't manipulate a thing. Just connected dots. She didn't touch it. Just kept staring at it like it might disappear. Why now? She finally asked. Her voice was smaller now. Quieter. Because I wanted to look you in the eye again. And let you know I'm not the man you erased. I'm still here. I always was. I stood up. Straightened my jacket. Just like I did the last time we stood across from each other. She stayed seated, frozen. Couldn't meet my eyes. I leaned in slightly, kept my voice low. This isn't revenge, Elaine. It's just balance. Then I walked away. Didn't look back. Outside, the air was cool. Quiet. I took a deep breath and slipped into the crowd. No one stopped me. No one noticed. I was just another man in a suit on a city sidewalk. But inside, everything had shifted. 2 days later, her name was everywhere. Local news, fashion blogs, even a small national outlet picked it up. Boutique mogul under investigation for fraudulent activity. A few called it a fall from grace. Most didn't care. They just ran the story, got the clicks, moved on. But in her world, it was an earthquake. Sponsors pulled out. Collaborations vanished. The influencers she used to tag suddenly stopped tagging back. Her business accounts got flagged. Vendors demanded payment up front. Her boutique's online store went down for maintenance and never came back. No one said it was me. No one knew. That's the part I'm proud of. I didn't need to take credit. I didn't need a stage. She built the fall all by herself. I just stepped out of the way. I never saw her again after that night. I heard whispers. Someone said she tried to sell her stake in another side business and got blocked. Someone else said she was talking about a sabbatical, some kind of retreat. Spin. Always spin. Me? I went back to the airport. Took a red-eye. Slept like a rock the whole way. Landed in a smaller city where no one knew me. Grabbed a coffee. Checked into a rental. And opened my laptop. I had 3 new offers waiting in my inbox. A startup looking for bridge funding. A logistics firm looking to sell off bad debt. A real estate group offering partial equity in exchange for turnaround capital. Business kept moving. It always does. But I didn't jump on anything right away. I took a few days. Walked. Read. Cooked my own meals for once. Sat on park benches and watched people. Nothing fancy. Just life. Eventually, I made a quiet trip back to my hometown. Not for long. Just a few days. The house I grew up in had been torn down. A new duplex stood there now. Slick siding, bright mailbox, little solar lights on the path. I stood across the street and stared at it for a while. No one paid me any mind. I walked past the old corner store where I used to get sodas. Still there. Still overpriced. Got a bag of peanuts and a bottle of water. Sat on the same bench I used to sit on as a kid. It's strange how places shrink over time. Or maybe we just grow past them. Either way, it felt smaller. Quieter. I didn't reach out to anyone. Didn't look up old friends. Just passed through. Like a ghost with a wallet. On the last evening, I walked to this overlooked spot we used to go to in high school. A stretch of grass behind the rec center, nothing special, but it had a decent view of the streetlights below. Sat there for an hour, maybe more, and I thought about her. Not in the way I used to. Not with anger or longing. Just as a fact. A thing that happened. You know what's funny? I still remember the slap. The sound. The sting. The way it made the room go quiet. Sometimes, in the morning, when I'm shaving, I still glance at that spot on my cheek. Not because it hurts. It doesn't. Hasn't in a long time. But it's there. A ghost of a memory. I don't tell this story for sympathy. I don't need anyone to feel sorry for me. Hell, I'm better now than I've ever been. Smarter. Calmer. Clearer. But sometimes, when a guy asks why I'm so quiet at meetings or why I don't talk about my past, I think about telling him this. And then I don't. Because the truth is, she didn't ruin me. She revealed me. I used to think life was about being seen. Being appreciated. Being the guy who helps, who supports, who builds. Now I know better. Life's about knowing who you are, even when no one's looking. Especially then. I never yelled. Never fought back. Never tried to fix what was already broken. I just waited. I built. I outlasted. That's not revenge. That's just staying in the game long enough to watch the other players run out of moves. She played loud. I played quiet. And in the end, she collapsed under the weight of her own show. Me? I'm still here. Still standing. Not famous. Not loud. But solid. And if you ever see me at the back of the room, not saying much, just know I've seen some things. And I remember everything.